Here are 5 scary stories that take place in Alabama. Stay around to hear the last one. It's based directly on real Alabama folklore. 1. The kudzu doesn't let go. Rural Alabama. In southern Alabama, kudzu grows the way silence does. Slowly, patiently, until it's everywhere. Everyone in Pine Hollow knew not to go into the woods behind the abandoned church. The trees there were swallowed whole by vines, their branches frozen mid-reach like they'd tried to escape and failed. Still, when Caleb's dog ran off during a storm, he followed the barking straight into the green wall. The air inside the kudzu was damp and thick, muffling sound. The barking stopped. Caleb pushed forward, vines brushing his arms like fingers. He found the old church foundation first, just stone steps leading nowhere. Then he heard something breathing, not an animal, too steady. "Buddy," he called. The vines shifted. A shape stood where the pulpit once was, wrapped in kudzu so tightly it looked grown into the leaves. A face stared out, eyes open, mouth frozen mid-scream, skin gray and bark-like. Caleb stumbled back. The vines moved again, creeping toward his ankles. That's when he noticed the others. Dozens of shapes, people, all standing, all watching. The vines tightened around his legs, tugging gently, patiently. Caleb screamed, but the kudzu swallowed the sound. By morning, the storm had passed. The woods looked unchanged, except for one new shape, standing very still, with terror forever growing over his face. 2. The last train. Through Sloss, Birmingham. Sloss. Furnaces had been quiet for decades, but Marcus swore he heard the train whistle again. He worked security, night shift, midnight to 6, the kind of job where your thoughts get louder than your footsteps. At 2:17 a.m., the ground vibrated. Steel groaned. A distant whistle echoed through the furnaces, long and mournful. Marcus checked the tracks. Rusted, broken. No train had run there since before his grandfather was born. Then he saw the light. It rolled through the furnaces like fog, glowing pale orange. Inside it were silhouettes, men in old work clothes, faces smudged with soot, eyes hollow. They didn't look at Marcus. They looked through him. The whistle screamed again, louder now, and Marcus felt heat rush past him, like standing too close to molten metal. The train roared by without sound, without wind, just memory. When it vanished, the furnaces were silent again. Marcus quit the next day. But sometimes at 2:17 a.m., people downtown still hear a whistle and feel heat where no fire burns. 3. Low tide at Dauphin Island, Alabama coast. Locals say you shouldn't walk the beach at low tide after sunset. Emma didn't listen. She was visiting Dauphin Island in the off-season when the beaches were empty and the Gulf felt endless. That night, the water pulled back farther than she'd ever seen, revealing dark, rippled sand and shapes that didn't look natural. She walked anyway. Halfway down the beach, she saw footprints ahead of her, bare feet leading toward the water. But the tide was still going out. Then she heard singing, soft, broken, coming from the exposed seabed. Figures stood where the water had been, their skin pale and shining, hair drifting like seagrass though there was no wind. Their mouths moved in slow, sad harmony. Emma backed away. The footprints behind her were gone. The singing grew louder, more desperate, as the tide began to rush back in. Too fast. Water flooded the beach in seconds, soaking her shoes. When Emma finally reached the road, gasping, the song cut off. The next morning, locals found fresh footprints on the beach. They led straight into the sea. 4. The Dead Children's Playground, Huntsville. The playground looked normal in daylight. At night, it breathed. Evan went there on a dare, flashlight in hand. The swings creaked, though there was no wind. The slide was cold, even in summer. Then the laughter started. Children's laughter. Too close. Too many voices circling him. Evan shined his light around wildly. The sandbox had footprints appearing one by one. The merry-go-round began to spin. "Stop," he whispered. A small handprint appeared on his flashlight lens. Behind him, a voice giggled right at his ear. "Do you want to play?" Evan ran. By morning, the playground was still. No footprints, no handprints. But the swing nearest the entrance rocked gently. Waiting. 5. Hug and Molly, based on real Alabama folklore. Abbeville. Every kid in Abbeville knows about Huggin' Molly. Parents tell the story to keep children home at night. They say she's tall, too tall, and wears a black cloak. They say she waits in the dark and hugs wandering kids so tight they can't breathe. Most kids grow out of believing. Lena didn't. Walking home from her friend's house one evening, she felt watched. The streetlights flickered, crickets went silent. Then she heard footsteps behind her. "Hello, child," a woman's voice said gently. Lena turned. The woman was impossibly tall, her face hidden in shadow. Long arms stretched out, inviting. "Come here," the woman whispered. "You look cold." Lena ran. The footsteps followed, slow but never falling behind. At her front porch, Lena threw herself inside and slammed the door. The footsteps stopped. Her grandmother was waiting in the living room, pale and shaking. "I told you," she said quietly, locking every door. "If you hear her voice, you don't answer." Outside, something heavy leaned against the door and hugged it.